Buenos días a todos. Buenos días, aunque está lloviendo. Badajoz no recibió con lluvia, no recibe con lluvia, pero es bueno. Bueno, esto es como dice, vamos llegando al fin y voy a ser muy breve. Bien, uno de los temas en los que se ha hecho hincapié constantemente durante estos 2 o casi 3 intensísimos días ha sido la importancia que tiene la formación del profesorado de cara a mejorar no solo la enseñanza de idiomas, sino también la educación en general. Las dos ponencias que nos acompañan hoy, que son expertas y nos van a hablar de la importancia de la formación del profesorado. En primer lugar, a mi derecha tengo a Margarida. He is coordinating Professor of English, Cultural Studies at Instituto Politécnico de Castelo Branco, Portugal, holding a PhD in English Literature from the University of Lisbon. She has dedicated her professional teaching and research career to teacher education, with a specialization in the areas of children's literature, intercultural education, development of intercultural communicative competence, and more recently, clear approaches from primary to higher education. She is part of the Working Field Research Network in Portugal, which involves several Portuguese higher education institutions and has also coordinated a teacher development program for higher education lecturers through the Association. Sorry? Reclus. Well, my Portuguese is not very good, sorry. I don't know whether to read this or not. Asociación en Rede de Centros de Línguas do Ensino Superior. Association. Its main output, the CLIL training guide, creating a CLIL learning community in higher education. A collaborative design training guide has supported several face-to-face and online training sessions for higher education lecturers in Portugal. She has also been involved in several European-funded Erasmus Plus projects in the areas of school education and CLIL through the CLIL for Children 2015-2018, a European-funded project, a teacher education program for CLIL primary teachers in Europe. Her more recent publications are collaborative experiences in the area of CLIL for primary and introducing CLIL approaches and collaborative teacher models and communities of practice in higher education institutions. And I'm going to present Dr. Josefina Villamil Tinajero. It's a very long thing as well. Currently professor, have a look at this. Currently Professor of Bilingual Education, immediate past Dean of the College of Education at the University of Texas at El Paso, and current Special Advisor to the Vice President for Research. She has dedicated her entire professional career to enhancing educational opportunities for Spanish-speaking students in the United States. She's a leading scholar, author, and advocate on issues of equity and excellence for culturally and linguistically diverse children and families. When you want me to stop, just tell me. Her rich experience and knowledge about effective educational reform and the roles of culture and language in school achievement have been the key vehicles for affecting positive change in school districts across the US and in the US-Mexico border region. Her extensive publication record includes a focus on literacy and biliteracy for Spanish-speaking children, school-university partnerships, and school community collaboration with a focus on linguistically learning. But recently, there is something important about Josefina Villamil Tinajero, that a school has been named after her in la Universidad.
First of all, I would like to say that I feel very honored to be here, and that I appreciate this opportunity to share with you what we are doing in Portugal, and that I hope to do it well. So if something is unclear, feel free to ask about it, because what I will give you is my opinion of field-based insert as teacher development and training for bilingual education in Portugal. And when I'm asked to speak about CLIL in Portugal, I see 2 things in the beginning. One is that when teachers get involved in CLIL, they feel that they have developed professionally. And also, some English teachers and some other teachers in primary who claim that there should be more professional development and more opportunities for professional development, also more awareness activities about CLIL. So, what I want to focus on, because this is a big field, is the needs and provision of in-service professional development about CLIL in Portugal. And to do this, I will focus on policy, practice, and research being developed in Portugal in this area, bilingual, CLIL approaches to education across all the levels, but I'll be concentrating more on primary and higher education because that's the areas I work on. And then I want to reflect, well, it will be my opinion, how we could best support what is happening in Portugal. Okay, so that's what I propose to do. So, my first claim is that in Portugal, CLIL, or mainstream education through an additional language, is growing in popularity, although it is not a national policy. We don't have regions, so for us it's a nation or no nation. So, there is a growing interest in CLIL and bilingual education, but I know CLIL is a fuzzy concept, and I will give you just a couple of examples from a recent conference I was at, where EMA students in English for primary were presenting their work, and the interest of CLIL appeared blended into these three areas. So, holistic approaches to primary education, teaching English to young learners concepts, with some curricular integration, but they were not calling it CLIL. They were teaching English through geography, or geography through English, but they were not calling it CLIL. Or you could be integrating language awareness and intercultural education approaches. So this would be a development of transversal competences, but they were not calling it CLIL. And then, because we have a new legislation on curricular flexibility, you know, some projects were emerging where you could develop projects in primary where you would put together English and other subjects, but project-based learning, and you were not calling it CLIL. But still, when we ask teachers, do you know what CLIL is? Are you doing it? They will claim yes, if they are English teachers. So that's quite interesting, isn't it, as a point of departure to think about these things. So I would say that CLIL is an emerging trend in Portugal among English teachers, among some educational researchers. So I want to look at it in more detail as a policy of practice and as research. Okay, so in the wake of Eurida's survey to 2012, where they said that, you know, Portuguese students had a below average competence in foreign language at the primary level. We had two major policy measures introduced in our national education system, which was the introduction of English in primary in year 3 for 2 hours, and then also in year 4 for 2 hours. But then we also were developing, the Ministry of Education together with the British Council were developing a bilingual program. And we have some numbers on the screen about this bilingual program, which had a pilot from 2011 to 2015, which involved 9 schools. Schools in Portugal are organized now in school clusters. It means that several schools come under the umbrella of a cluster. So they were involving 9 schools in 7 school clusters. And then you see progressing throughout the years to, you know, we predict 25 school clusters in 2018-19. You also see there that it was extended gradually into covering not only primary, and primary in Portugal is the first 4 years only, not like in Spain. And it covered pre and then other education levels, so the ages of the students were growing. It is a voluntary project in the sense that schools apply and the ministry decides whether they have the conditions or not to participate in it. Okay, I'm not saying that's the best thing to go about it. And another thing is that they have a target for 2020, which is 5% of all primary schools. 5%. Okay, that's an emergency, an emergent policy trend. This is in English, but there are also pilots. There were also pilots for German, Mandarin Chinese, and French. So, I want you all to look at policy in higher education through internationalization, because I want to connect what is being done in primary with teacher education, teacher development. And these are numbers published by the Academic Corporation Association in 2014, and they show several things. I've seen this slide, not specifically for Spain, but being used at least 3 times in this conference. But I'm going to look at it differently, because I'm going to say that the proportion of higher education institutions offering English taught programs in the Southwest Europe, which includes Spain, Portugal, France, and Italy, is very low. Although it had a growth of 886%, it's still below the average of the remaining parts of Europe. And when you look at the absolute, the numbers for Portugal, so this excludes all the English studies, okay? It's not English studies. They're not included. So for Portugal, you have 14.3%. And the study programs fully provided in English are 3. And the proportion of students enrolled in these English taught programs in the academic year 2013-14 was 0.5%. And the overall numbers for our university for Spain, the numbers are different, obviously. It's 1,900 students. So what do these now? When I look at these numbers, I have 2 worries. I have 2 questions. If a student at university level, at the tertiary level, is not learning through an English taught program, how is that student, if he's not in the English language, how is he going to realize that it can be done and can be done effectively? This raises this question. Another thing is, an English taught program is not necessarily clear, but we could also consider how is English being taught in these programs, to what purpose? And the third question is, I think we need to investigate further how many of these courses there or students involved are in teaching education. I suspect, from what I know, none. Teacher education is not where English taught programs are. So I have these worries. If you're not providing a good model, how are you going to get them to do it in schools? So that's my worry. So what about practice? And pay attention to my maps, because you will see all the asymmetries of Portugal. My maps, I was looking at my maps this morning and say, I could do a lesson in geography and asymmetry. So, the bilingual program, which is the biggest pilot for primary in Portugal, and which involved more students so far. So you have the numbers there, 900 from 2011 to 15, and then 1,786 classes, 140 teachers in 2018. And if you realize that, there's a part of Portugal near Spain where there's nothing. But everything on the coast looks, go. There's another interesting project sponsored, monitored by the Ministry of Education, which is this Quito's 21st century preschools, which is very interesting because it's promoting 21st century skills, music, and English in preschool education. It's wonderful, this project. So it's a reference also for us of what we are doing. And then I couldn't put all the projects there. We have several emerging local projects that have not been mapped yet. And I put an example, but I don't want, this is just an example. There are several all over the country. They are developed, most of them through Erasmus Plus funding, through European partnerships. They are grassroots projects, and sometimes they are monitored by teacher education institutions. Most of them are, in some way. higher education level, this is a project I was involved in through the Language Association, which is the Association of Language Centers in Higher Education. And when we look at higher education, we see that there is some initial teacher education that includes CLIL. Maria Elzitson was presenting here at this conference about her experience at the University of Portugal. She's the person probably in Portugal who has done most of this area. And you know, through this inclusion, you see teaching practicums including CLIL, you see master dissertations reports, you know, on CLIL. It's very interesting, but it's not widespread. And also, in terms of in-service professional development for higher education lecturers, you do have your academic, English for academic purposes, courses for lecturers, which is clear, but it's to improve their English competence. And then we try to put into place a training for content and language teachers in polytechnics, higher education polytechnics across 6 regions, and we've been doing it for 3 years through the Language Association. And if you look at my map now we've got the frontier with Spain, now we have some things going on there, and not so much on the coast, because again, it emerged from an association, not from the ministry. And so what we've managed so far is to involve 29 lecturers, 5 higher education institutions, and we managed to introduce, run, monitor, evaluate 20 clear modules in higher education. Modules, ours is a modular approach. We are very proud of it, but it's very small. And there's a training guide, there's a training guide that can be downloaded where we wrote it out, the training, and then everybody can look into criticize. And criticism is good for us to improve. Also, in terms of research, we have established the working field research. We want to support and make the grassroots projects in CLIL visible. It's a place where we're putting all the research that our research community in CLIL has produced. And eventually we want to affect policies. But as you see, we were established in 2018, so we are starting the babies. And you can access it through this website there. And this is quite interesting in terms of the map, also because we can get some balance there between the coast and the eastern parts of Portugal. So what are the identified needs from this kind of walk I took you through? Is that in terms of policy, there's a lack of external institutional support to grassroots CLIL projects. Also, there's a lack of awareness among non-language teachers. In terms of practice, there's lack of training and professional development opportunities, both theoretical and practical. And in terms of practice, resources, materials that are adequate, authentic, adapted to the several Portuguese contexts. Okay? In terms of research, there's a lot to be done in terms of the international strategies of higher education institutions, the concept of CLIL that people feel comfortable with, models of CLIL integration, etc., etc., etc. I was cut a little bit short because we started late, so I'm going to move on a little quicker now. Right, so I was involved in this project. I'm very proud of it, and I think it's got some solutions for these needs that we have identified. And why does it have solutions? Because we constitute a community of practice. So we involved primary teachers, English teachers for primary, teacher educators, researchers, course book developers, external stakeholders. So we put a consortium together of several types of institutions, and now you see why I've been, going back and forth between primary and higher education. And we've produced a lot of materials that we think could support us in finding ways of moving forward, and showing good examples of policy, practice, and research into the needs of and context of primary teachers. So I'm not going to go, this was just a description of the empirical data that we collected for the project. I'm just moving forward to show you this beautiful slide, because it all converges. All this community of practice activities all converge into the publications in the center, okay, that are used as, you know, something that teachers can use for their own purposes when they want to, or they can, if they are also at the basis of the e-course, right? So, and you can see it all, it's all available. If this was a new funded project, everything is available in great detail on the website of the project that you see there in the gray area. So you've got a guide to open educational resources through all the media. You've got concept note on the CLIL methodology, and you've got guidelines, pilots. So this was an active involvement of all this community. So, conclusions for good practice are the following. All these materials that are in this project were inspired by local research into the needs and conditions of the community of practice involved. It's not a top-down approach like in the bilingual program by the Ministry of Education. It goes the other way. Also, the CLIL for Children project opens up resources, these open educational resources, methods, and it shares international European best practice. It involved teachers in several countries. And we have nothing has been shared with us by the Ministry of Education on their bilingual project. Also, it can be used by teachers to their convenience. If they feel they lack some kind of knowledge, we can go there and get it. And in fact, when this project involves Italy, and they have certified the guide and the e-course for teachers in Italy to become CLIL teachers. Also, it addresses both primary and English teachers, not exclusively English teachers. And this is a way of promoting cooperation, collaboration. It's an opportunity to involve all teachers. And I'll finish now so that I'm not short of time. Is that they have an interdisciplinary mindset. And I think that's crucial for CLIL. It's not about the didactics of bilingual education. They were developed by interdisciplinary teams. They are the result of an interdisciplinary mindset, and as that they are, really CLIL. They really support the CLIL approach. Just to show you, because before I go, this was my list of things to do, but this is internal policy for Portugal, so I can share it with you later. Thank you.